Hi, I'm Lynn with AccuQuilt. The Studio Cutter has always been the premier cutter when you want accurate cuts for your quilting and fabric craft projects. And now we want to introduce you to the newest version, the Studio 2. And it's the same great high-quality cutter that cuts up to 10 layers of 100% cotton fabric at a time, which is pretty awesome. And it's the largest cutter on the market with a 16-inch cutting width. The Studio Cutter was designed especially for quilt shop owners and professional and avid quilters. And it's super fast. It cuts up to 90% faster than other cutters. It's accurate and it's safe and easy to use. And so what we did was we listened to you and we heard you loud and clear that you wanted a more space-friendly version. So what we've done is we've added a foldable base. So now it makes it so easy for you to move the Studio Cutter to your desired location when you're done using it. It's great to be able to store it, and it gives you a lot more space to work that you can just put the sides up. So we're pretty excited about that. Let's take a look at how the Studio Cutter works. So what you're going to do is, it works the same for those of you that are studio owners. It works the same as it did before. You put your tray on the base of the cutter, and then you're going to put your studio die, which I have one right here, in the base of your tray, and you want your studio die to be foam side up. Now when you layer your fabric on top of any of your AccuQuilt dies, whether it's Studio or Go, you want to make sure that the lengthwise grain is running the length of the cutter. And in order to find your lengthwise grain, if you have your selvage on your fabric, your selvage needs to be facing you or facing the handle on the cutter. If you don't have your selvage, like on this piece of fabric that I have here, you can just give a gentle tug on your fabric and you'll see that this is the lengthwise grain. It's a lot stronger than on the crosswise grain where I have a little bit of pull. So I know that I've got my fabric and I'm putting it on my die the right way. And then also you want to make sure that you are aligning your fabric, there's the blade right there, that you're aligning your fabric just over that blade. You do not need to place your fabric over the complete surface of the die. So, and then you're going to take your cutting plastic, your studio cutting plastic, put that on top, and then you're ready to roll it through your cutter. So you just engage the die to the roller and you turn the handle, and it's that easy. And just like that, I'm going to slide off my plastic. I have got all of these perfectly cut 2.5-inch squares. So, and again, you can cut up to 10 layers of fabric, 100% cotton fabric at a time with the Studio die. Now, with the Studio Cutter, you have over 500 dies to choose from, more than 350 Studio dies. But did you know you can also cut Go dies with your Studio Cutter? So all you need is a Studio die adapter. And that's what I have right here. We offer these in 2 different sizes. And you're going to layer that in the bottom of your tray. Then you're going to place your Go die on top of the adapter. And then, following the same lengthwise grain tips that I showed you before, we're going to layer our fabric over our shapes. Now, one thing I want to point out that's really important with number of layers is that with the Go dies, you can cut up to 6 layers of 100% cotton fabric. With the Studio dies, as I mentioned before, it's 10. So the number of layers depends on the type of die. Now, with the cutting plastic depends on the type of machine. So when you're cutting with your Studio Cutter, you want to always use your Studio cutting plastic. You place that on top of your die, and again, we can roll this through the cutter. And notice how I'm working from either side of the cutter. So that's another great feature of the machine. And just like that, I'm going to slide my cutting plastic off, and I've got these perfectly cut shapes that I can take right to my sewing machine, and I can make a flying geese block. How easy was that? And what I want to do at this point is I'm done cutting, so I'm going to take my tray out of the cutter, and now I can fold up the sides, and I've got all this great space to work in. For you studio owners out there, you're probably wondering, hey, can I do this to my existing cutter? Well, the answer is yes. You can take your original Studio Cutter, and you can get there's a Studio 2 conversion kit, and you can transform your original cutter into a Studio 2 cutter with a foldable base. Go to AccuQuilt.com and find out more about Studio 2, the Studio 2 conversion kit, and while you're there, check out Quilter Spotlight and get inspired by the hundreds of ideas that are posted there. And feel free to add your own. We'd love to see what you create with your new Studio 2 cutter. We'd also love it if you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. At AccuQuilt, you cut time so you can quilt more.